Hi, in this particular video we're going to be looking at simplifying ratios. This is GCSE Maths. It's aimed at roughly about grade 3. Please do download the worksheet, have a go at each of the questions, compare your solutions. Got any problems, always leave a message. I'll come back to you. I look forward to seeing you inside the video. Okay, so in the first question, we're going to start with question number 1, 250 centimetres to 750 centimetres. So the important thing with this is we have to make sure that the units remain the same. So in this particular case, I can reduce it. If I divide both sides by 10, I'm going to get 25 to 75, and then both of those are divisible by 5. So if I divide 25 by 5, I get 5. If I divide 75 by 5, I'm going to get 15. And then I can divide by 5 again. So if I divide this side by 5, I'm going to get 1. If I divide this side by 5, I'm going to get 3. So the answer to question number 1 is the ratio 1 to 3. Now, pretty much the way I've laid this out is the way that we would generally lay out these sorts of questions. If you work down the page, it's a little bit easier. So let's move on then to question number 2. 64 to 48 in its simplest form. Well, you'll see that both of 64 and 48 are both divisible by 8. So 64 divided by 8 is going to be 8. And 48 divided by 8 is going to be 6. And then I can divide 8 and 6 by 2. So if I divide 8 by 2, I get 4. And 6 divided by 2, I get 3. So the answer to question number 2 is going to be 4 to 3. Okay, let's move on then to question number 3, 10 days to 2 weeks. Now, this is the important thing with this type of question, is we have to make sure the units are the same, as I mentioned in question number 1. So we've got 10 days and we've got 2 weeks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make both of those into days. So we get 10 to 14. Okay, now it then is just a case of dividing both sides by 2. So if I divide 10 by 2, I'm going to get 5. If I divide 14 by 2, I'm going to get 7. And that's the answer to that particular question. Okay, let's move on then to question number 14. Write 350 to 25 in its simplest form. So really, as we've done before, it's just a case of working through, because what we can do is start with 350 to 25. Now, I know both sides are divisible by 5. So if I divide that by 5, I'm going to get 70. If I divide this by 5, I'm going to get 5. And then I can divide through by 5 again. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 70 divided by 5 is going to be 14. So my answer is 14 to 1. Okay, let's move on then to a slightly different type of question, which is asking you to write the ratio 8 to 16 in the form 1 to n. So in other words, what we're saying is that we have 8 to 16, and we want this first number to be 1. Well, the way that we make that is by dividing 8 by 8 itself. So therefore 8 divided by 8 is 1. So I need to divide 16 also by 8. So my answer then is 2. So my answer to 5A is going to be 1 to 2. Okay, let's have a look at 5B. Well, that's 4 to 10. And once again, I need 1 on my left-hand side. Now, I'm going to achieve that by dividing through by 4. So therefore, I have to divide this by 4. And 10 divided by 4, actually as a decimal, is 2.5. Now, slightly different approach to this. The way I would do that is I would say 10 over 4 is the same as saying 5 over 2. And the amount of 2's into 5 are equal to 2.5. which is exactly the same as saying 2.5 as a decimal. Okay, so 5C uses exactly the same principle. Now this could either be a calculator or a non-calculator question. Let's have a look at how it's going to work out. I'm going to start with 21 to 40, and I want it in the form 1 something. So therefore, I've divided this side by 21. Well, therefore, I have to divide 40 by 21. Now, 40 divided by 21 is not an easy calculation to make. So if it's non-calculator, you could leave it as 40 over 21, or you could work that out as a mixed number. Or if it's calculator, you could calculate it out as 1 to 1.904761, and that's actually recurring. So not a particularly easy question to work out, but the same principle applies. It's just making sure that on the left hand side the 21 becomes a 1 by dividing both sides by 21. Okay, let's have a look then at the other way around. So this type of question now we've got right in the form n to 1. So we're going to use exactly the same principle that we've got 4 to 8. And then rather than having 8 on the right hand side, we want 1. So we're going to divide through by 8. Now if we divide 8 by 8, we get 1. If we divide 4 by 8, we get 4 over 8. Now 4 over 8 is exactly the same as saying a half to 1. Or if we prefer a decimal, 0.5 to 1, and that would be the answer to part A. Okay, part B, we're going to use exactly the same principle. So we've got 9 to 2. I want 1 on this side. So if I want 1 on this side, I'm going to divide through by 2, which means I've got to divide 9 by 2. Well, 9 divided by 2 is either 9 over 2 as a fraction or 4.5 to 1 as a decimal. Whichever suits you is perfectly fine. Okay, let's have a look then at part C. Very similar idea. I've got 13 to 3. I want that 1, so I'm going to divide through by 3. I need to divide this side by 3. I'm going to get 13 over 3 to 1. Okay, you can either change that to a mixed number, 4 and a third to 1, or you could write it as a decimal, 4.3 recurring to 1. Don't forget that little dot above the 3 that means recurring. Okay, hopefully that's all right for you. Please do download this particular worksheet, have a go at each of these questions and compare your solutions. Okay, so let's move on then to question number 7. There's milk and plain chocolates in a box. So we've basically got milk and then we've got plain. And what we're being told is a quarter of the chocolates are milk chocolates. Now, if that is the case, it therefore means that 3/4 are plain. So the ratio that we're looking for is 1 to 3. Okay, hopefully that's all right for you. So out of 4 chocolates, 1 is going to be milk and 3 are going to be plain. All right. Let's have a look then at question number 8. And again, we're going to use a fairly similar sort of principle, but this time it says, give your answer in the form 1 to n. Now, really, that's not particularly necessary with this type of question, but we'll go through exactly the same way of calculating it. We've got green to blue, and what we're saying is 1/8 of the counters are green. Therefore, it means 7/8 are blue. So therefore, we can say that's a 1 to 7 ratio, and that is actually in the form of 1 to n as per the question. Okay, let's move on then to question number 9. If you've got to this sort of level, then you're working very well. These are now towards the top end of grade 3. We're now starting to move towards grade 4 type questions, but they should be absolutely fine for you. So we've got men to women. And again, I'm going to use exactly the same principles as I've done before. Nothing changes. It's 2,200 to 1,800. And really, it's just a case of giving that answer in its simplest form. So what we would do with that, firstly, is if we divide through by 1,000, okay, sorry, 100, I beg your pardon, divide through by 100. I just need to get rid of that 0 there. If we divide through by 100, what I'm going to get is going to be 22 to 18. Now I can then divide through by 2, so I'm going to get then 11 to 9, and that would be absolutely fine for question number 9. Okay, let's move on then to question number 10. Now this is slightly different because in question number 10 we're looking then at a little bit of algebra. Now the key issue with these is we really need to read the question. We've got green to blue to yellow. Okay, got to really read the question. It says there's green crayons, blue and yellow. There are 3 times as many green crayons as blue crayons. And then there are 5 times as many yellow crayons as blue. So actually, if we said there was just 1 blue crayon, then there would be 3 green crayons because there's 3 times as many, and 5 yellow crayons because there's 5 times as many. And actually that would be the answer to the question. Now, just as a point here, it's safer, and you'll see this in the next question, to actually start our blue with X, and then we end up with 3X and 5x. Okay, now it doesn't really matter then, because don't forget this is 1x, so therefore we can still write the ratio of 3 to 1 to 5. We've just got to be a little bit careful, because in the next question then you'll see why this is a bit more beneficial to you. So in a tin of biscuits there are wafers, chocolate and plain. What I'm going to say, if you read it through, the number of chocolate biscuits is 5 times the number of wafers. The number of plain biscuits is half the number of chocolate biscuits. All right, so a lot of reading going on in there. So let's have a look then at how that works out. Well, we've got wafers, we've got chocolate, and we've got plain. Okay, so number of chocolate biscuits is 5 times the number of wafers. So if we actually said that the number of wafers is X, therefore the number of chocolate must be 5x. Okay, then it says the number of plain biscuits is half the number of chocolate biscuits, so that would be 2.5x. All right, now not particularly helpful, because what we're told is that A, B and C are whole numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out the ratio of 1 to 5 to 2.5, and then to make them whole numbers I'm going to double them, because 2.5 times 2 means 5. 10 times 2 is going to be 10, and 1 times 2 is going to be 2. So the answer to my particular question is going to be 2 to 10 to 5. Okay, let's have a look then at the next one. Very similar sort of idea, I guess. I would again tend to use X's. In a bag there are red, blue and green sweets. So let's have a look. Red, blue and green sweets. Number of red sweets is 3 times the number of blue. So red and blue. Number of green sweets is half the number of blue. So what I'm going to say is that I've got X blue, which means I've got 3X red. And because I've got half the number of green sweets, it's going to be a half X. So therefore I can write my ratio as 3 to 1 to a half, or I could actually write that, if I prefer, as 0.5. It really doesn't matter. If you prefer decimals, that's perfectly fine. Okay, now we need to look at whole sweets. It's just a little bit easier to look at whole sweets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this and everything in it by 2. So I'm going to get 6 red, 2 blue, and 1 green. Okay, so that's my ratio. And then it says, Simon says the percentage of red sweets is 60%. Is Simon correct? Well, let's have a look. So let's have a look at the number of red sweets. There are 6 red sweets out of 9 sweets altogether. So what I've done there is I've added the 6, the 2, and the 1, and I get 9 sweets in the bag, 6 of which are going to be red. So the question is, really, is 6 nines the same as 60%? Well, it's not. It's fairly close, but if I look at that, I get 2 over 3, and 2/3 as a percentage is actually going to be 66.6%. So therefore, Simon is incorrect. Okay, very rare that I'm incorrect about something, but on this particular occasion, I am incorrect. Okay, let's move on then to the final part of this set of worksheets. Please do download the worksheets, have a go. The final few questions are all right, they're not too bad. They are 2 marks each, and then 3 marks on the very last one. Okay, so it says divide 60 in the ratio of 2 to 3. So basically what we're saying is 2 to 3 means that we have 5 parts. So if you can imagine, it's £2 and £3. So if we had £5, then somebody would get £2 and somebody would get £3. Well, actually now it's not £5, it's actually £60, which is 12 times bigger. So therefore, I'm going to multiply everything by 12. So 3 times 12 is going to be 36, and 2 times 12 is going to be 24. So in the ratio, £60, or £60 in the ratio 2 to 3 is going to be £24 to £36. Okay, let's use exactly the same principle then with part B. I've got 2 to 3 to 5. Okay, well, if that was actually then £10, it would mean that somebody got £2, somebody got £3, and somebody got £5. However, it's not £10, it's actually £600, which is 60 times bigger, because 60 times 10 is 600. So therefore, I multiply all of my numbers by 60, and I'm going to get 120 to 180 to 5 times 60, which is 300. So the answer to part B is going to be £120 to £180 to 300. Okay, and that would be the answer to 13. Let's have a look at number 14. If you're not sure about any of these, please do add a comment below. I'll always come back to you. And there are plenty of playlists on the channel that you can have a look at as well. So Lauren is making a cake. Okay, she uses 75 grams of sugar and 350 grams of flour. But she needs the ratio of 1 to 5. So is she using the correct amount? Okay, so we'll have a look at that. We're going to say sugar. And we're going to say flour. Okay, and it's in the ratio of 1 to 5. So if she uses 75 grams of sugar, how much flour would she actually need? Well, if we multiply that through by 75, I need to multiply flour by 75. So actually, calculating this out, she should be using 375 grams of flour, but unfortunately, she's only used 350. So it is not the correct ratio, or not the correct amount, rather. Okay, and you could put a line that says, should be 375 grams, and that would be absolutely fine. Okay, so let's have a look then at the very last question on this particular worksheet, and it's about a school trip. Okay, so this is question 15, which is the very last question in this particular worksheet. Please do add a comment below if you're not sure about anything. So in every group, there must be one teacher to 16 adults. Which of these can go ahead as planned? So let's have a look at the university. Now, the thing to be careful of is that we've been given the information as number of students, then number of teachers. So you just got to make sure that you have it the right way round. So teachers to students is going to be, for the university, 5 to 80. And really all we're saying is, if we reduce that down, is that in the ratio of 1 to 16? Well, it is. If I divide that by 5, I get 1. If I divide that by 5, I get 16. So therefore, the university trip can go ahead. Let's look at the museum. Okay, and I've got 3 to 48 student to teacher ratio, beg your pardon, teacher to student ratio. So therefore, if I divide that by 3, I get 1, which is fine. If I divide that by 3, I get 16, which is also fine. So therefore, the museum can go ahead. Let's have a look then at the factory visit. Okay, and in this case, I've now got 7 teachers to 126 students. If I divide that by 7, I get 1. If I divide 126 by 7, okay, I actually get 18. So unfortunately, there's too many students for the amount of teachers. So the ratio, unfortunately, wouldn't allow us to go ahead with the factory visit. Let's look finally at the apprentice event. Okay, so the apprentice event is going to be a ratio of 6 to 96. Divide that through by 6, I get 1. Divide that through by 6, I get 16. So actually the apprentice event can go ahead. So on this particular question, last question, question 15, the university, museum and apprentice event can go ahead, but unfortunately the factory visit can't. Okay, I hope the whole videos have been useful to you. Please do subscribe to the site, add a comment if you're not sure about anything, and I'll look forward to seeing you inside the next video.